Good morning. It's day 20. Can you believe it's almost been 3 weeks? This is meal number one on day 20. Now, I've been up since 6 in the morning. It's now about 11:30, and I haven't gotten hungry until about right now. Now, I'm last night, Silvana and I went out to Treva. We had a nice little meal, and I was going to have that tiny speck of that crust of the bread because I've been craving something kind of crunchy like that. And I showed you, and then I put it down, and I got so interested in like the Brussels sprouts and the mushrooms, you know. And then they brought out a zucchini blossom that had this kind of a little bit of a ricotta in it. And I didn't show you that. That kind of came out actually fairly long after that I made the video. And it was so amazingly delicious. It was so satisfying. The little bit of the delicacy of the flour of the zucchini and the creaminess of the ricotta. I haven't really had that much cheese since we've started this. And that was super satisfying. Then they brought out a Caesar salad that had just a little bit of grilled chicken. It had hardly any dressing on it at all, just a very hint of it. I would say it was maybe the whole plate of that Caesar salad dressing probably had only a tablespoon of olive oil with a kind of a, you know how Caesar dressing sort of tastes. It was very minimally appointed in a way. It was super satisfying, super delicious. The mushrooms were made in a different way. The Brussels sprouts I have not had in 20 days. I got so interested in all these other things, I forgot about that tiny piece of bread. And then later, we got home, and I'm like, oh, man, I was going to have a little tiny piece of bread, like, for the first time. And but I survived. And, a lot of the plan partly just is a real simple plan. Let's give our body what it needs spread out during the day. Whatever we receive in a restaurant or whatever we think we're going to have, like, why not cut it in half and have the other half a little bit later? Just a little bit of delay of gratification, just delaying something just a little bit longer. So it's not denying ourselves that much. It's just waiting just a little bit. Like, we could just breathe right here and just pause for a moment, right? And we're going to be okay. We're not going to die if we wait just a tiny amount. So that little bit of waiting, cutting things in half, is kind of partly at the roots of what we're doing here. If you think just body chemistry and balance, if we give our body a gigantic truckload of something that's going to turn to sugar, which our body can turn everything it eats to sugar, including the best protein source ever. Our body can take that, use the protein to repair muscle tissue and help to build our body up, after working hard. And it can take that protein and turn it into sugar and put it to use as energy. Our bodies are amazing, like factories, working all the time for our benefit. Well, if we just drop off a giant truckload of stuff, our body has to do something with it. It can't just let it sit there. So instead of giant truckload, small deliveries, just-in-time manufacturing delivery process. Just in time. Henry Ford came up with this brilliant idea to make a car and to make it so it could be replicated in a factory process and mass-produced. One of the things he didn't exactly think about at the time would be, what would it be like to have, like, as soon as you need that bolt to put the tire on, what if it arrived right then, and instead of holding the inventory or piling inventory up in another building and have somebody bring it over, right when it's delivered, it's just like screwed right onto the wheel, right? Well, it would be impossible to deliver every single tiny speck of a car part just in time. Just like it would be kind of impossible to deliver every single little nutrient that every cell of the trillions of cells of our body needs just in time. We'd be eating tiny specks of things pretty much constantly. But if we think a little bit about history, like, who are our ancestors? Well, Sven and Gertrude, who I saw at the store the other day, again, there are caveman, cavewoman ancestors, even if you've not met them. They are our ancestors. And so they were sometimes, I'm sure, bringing in some type of a large creature like a mammoth or something, and they would have to process a mammoth, and it would likely be a great feast for the tribe, and a great, like, they'd be very reverent, number one, very appreciative, very respectful of the creature that's becoming part of their bodies and sustaining the community. But they would have to process and the whole entire, they don't just let the mammoth lie there. You know, it's not like it's easy to bring down a mammoth, even working as a team. So they would process the whole thing and probably dry some of the meat. They would, you know, make like little ropes and things out of the sinew and the muscle and the tendons. They would use every part of the body, and they would work on processing that mammoth until it was entirely processed. And in the meanwhile, they probably had a very big feast, enjoyed each other's company, and began working away at kind of taking care of this very large harvest. Most likely, though, they were spending more time grazing, bringing in like little things that were small, like a handful of berries, and that would be shared amongst the family and the community, and they would always save some of what they brought in. They would always save some. They would never eat every single thing. You don't know what's going to happen with the weather, with the rain. Our cavemen and cavewomen ancestors were super sophisticated. If they came upon some roots, they're not going to eat every single one of those roots. They might have a little bit to nourish them. They're going to collect them. They're not going to harvest every single one of those. They know that that's going to kill the plant. They want that plant to be there so that they can come back to that plant in a couple of months and there'll be more roots. They're very sophisticated. They didn't eat everything all at once. So let's just be a little caveman and cavewoman like. Let's save a little bit for later. Let's just wait a little bit. Let's not have it all right now. I know we live in a society where we can have it all right now. It's the promise of modern technology and manufacturing, and we can have it all right now. Okay, hey, let's take a moment here and look at breakfast real quick. Okay, so I have lined up, this is almost like for the Super Bowl or some big sports event, you have the players lining up. Let's take a look at what we have here, okay? I have in the lineup a circle of nuts with a glass of almond milk at the center, right? I have in the lineup just a quarter cup of nuts. I have in the lineup a quarter cup of oatmeal. I have in the lineup a cup of Cheerios. In the lineup is a cup of Special K. In the lineup is a cup of Fruit Loops. And yes, joining us today in the lineup is Lucky Charms. And we have here Honey Nut Cheerios. And next to Honey Nut Cheerios would be Cinnamon Toast Crunch in the lineup today. And broken into by Silvana, who had to have a little tiny speck of that, is Frosted Flakes. I noticed Silvana did not break into the oatmeal, but that's okay. All right, and finally, completing our lineup today for breakfast is Raisin Bran Crunch. Okay, there's our lineup. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, I forgot. 2 cups of things that are green, like spinach and broccoli and collard greens and kale and arugula and Swiss chard and some green bean I see in there and something else I can't remember. Handful of tomatoes and 2 hard-boiled eggs. Is this gigantic bowl of stuff? Okay, there we have it. There's our lineup for the day today. We got a lot of choices around breakfast. Now, I have not been hungry at all. Last night after, our dinner was so satisfying. We packed up about half of it. We brought it home. In the middle of the night, I got a little bit hungry. I've been having so much energy at night. It's sort of been very interesting for me, the amount of energy I have. I was feeling like I was on a little dip last 2 days, like my body was fighting something off. Some of my friends had some type of a cold or a hint of the flu. And some of the kids coming in, Super Kids Academy, were a little bit sick. And, so I was wondering, like, is my body fighting this off or something? I was really sore. I was tired. My stomach felt terrible. I was dizzy. I had a headache. I had all these symptoms, right? Woke up today feeling super good. I have not eaten yet today. So I had, when I was portioning out the nuts, I had a couple specks of nuts. Now, a speck is a very important measurement, okay, around here. So, and I'm saying here, I'm licensing you the use of the word and the measurement of speck, all right? But every time you say speck of something or whatever, you have to yell something like your favorite person's, what they love the most. How about that? Something that connects us with people, all right? And what they love the most. For some reason, in my mind, somebody you haven't seen yet is John Powers. And I think John Powers, one of the things he loves the most, he's a construction guy. And he has a nice picture of Gandhi on his office wall. And John is like a super terrific guy. I think I'm going to invite John to be part of this now that I think about it. But John is like, be the change that you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. So from now on, if I say the speck of something, I'm going to be like, John Powers, be the change you want to be or see in the world. All right? So you can use the word speck. I'm licensing you to use it. All right? But when and if and when, not if, when you use the word speck as either a word or a measurement, you have to yell your one of your friends' names and something that they love. All right? So let's use speck as a way to connect us with everybody here. So I had a speck, John Powers, be the change you want to be, of nuts earlier this morning. Okay, I'm not going to, but I only had I'm not going to say it because I don't want to have to yell John Powers again. All right, John Powers, if you see this, I'm inviting you, okay? This is your official invitation to have breakfast with me and talk about kind of what we're doing here, okay? We're balancing, not we are balancing, we are allowing our bodies to do what our bodies know how to do and our minds to do what they're already doing, no big whoop, by breathing, number one, you're going to like that, John Powers, and by paying attention to the food that we're bringing in our bodies, okay? Using food as a medicine, but joyously embracing food as a means of connecting us with the inside us and the outside us. Okay, I said it in a new and different way that time. So here's our lineup. Now, let's compare and contrast some of this. A cup of this almond milk we know has 35 calories, 3 grams of fat, 1 carbohydrate, 0 sugar, 1 gram of protein. I'm out of it. I only had about half a cup there. Let's look at oatmeal as a thing. Oatmeal, a quarter cup, which this is the most important measuring tool that we have, is a quarter cup, because we can use it to make a cup, a half a cup, any kind of cup. It's important for us to know about what a quarter cup is. There's a quarter cup of oatmeal with a quarter cup of milk cooked for 2 minutes with cinnamon. So what are we looking at? 73 calories, 2 grams of fat, 12 carbs, 3 grams of protein. That's what I'm having for my breakfast today, day 20, meal number 1. Plus that other tiny amount of nuts. I almost said it. Cheerios are a choice. Now, I've been craving something crunchy. I had the opportunity for that piece of bread and that crust, and I forgot to eat it. Right? Cheerios. So what are Cheerios? 1 cup is 130 calories, 3 grams of fat, 26 carbs, 2 of those are sugar, 4 grams of protein. Okay, well, that's about almost double the calories of just oatmeal. It's more crunchy than oatmeal, and it has more ingredients than oatmeal. The ingredient here is oats and milk and cinnamon, 3 ingredients. Next on our lineup, Special K. Special K is advertised to be super healthy. This is the original Special K, all right? And says it has nourishing calories on here. I don't know, 140 nourishing calories, and they've got vitamin A, B12, D, folic acid. They've added a lot of stuff to that. Special K, what's the story? 140 calories, 1 gram of fat, 26 carbs, 5 of those is sugar. It has more added sugar than the Cheerios. 6 grams of protein, a little bit higher in protein, which might help to modulate the absorption of those calories. Now let's climb the ladder here. I did in fact put these in order. Let's look at these here. Here's the players here that we have. Okay. I put them in order of what appears to me to be healthiness. Fruit Loops, I was surprised, would weigh in at number 4. But calories, 150. Fat, 2 grams of fat. Carbs, 37. Big jump over the 26 of Special K. Sugars, a lot of added sugar. 14 grams of sugar. More than double of its prior friend. Protein, much lower on protein. 2 grams of protein. Lucky Charms, what do we have here? Big jump, 180 calories, 2 grams of fat, 39 carbs, 17 sugars, 4 grams of protein. What's next in line? We got Honey Nut Cheerios, 190 calories, 3 grams of fat, 39 carbs, 17 of which are added sugar, and protein is 4 grams. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is crunchy. It sounds like toast, sounds like a good breakfast thing, but take a look at this, 230 calories, 6 grams of fat, 44 carbs, 17 is sugar, 3 of protein. Okay, what's left of the Frosted Flakes here? They're great. It says so right on here. We got Tony the Tiger, very classic image. Okay, what do we got here? 220 calories, 0 fat, but okay, the carbs are higher than the prior one, 53 carbs, 21 is sugar, and that's why it's occupying the space after Cinnamon Toast Crunch. 3 grams of protein. And finally, the big surprise. This has been, to me, a very interesting study. I would never have guessed in a million years that Raisin Bran Crunch would be kind of like at the end of the line, the last of the list of what would be helpful for us. I always thought of this as being a little healthier, but what do we have here with Raisin Bran Crunch? We have 280 calories, 2 grams of fat, 68 carbs, and of that, 28 is added sugar. Protein is 5 grams of protein. What happened, Raisin Bran? It says on here, good food to go. Well, yet it tastes good, certainly, because of the sugar. I don't know, down here. Can you see at the bottom right down here? Product of genetic engineering. I think that might be the topic for another show here, okay? But we're coming into about 18 minutes of me talking about my breakfast today. So here's the thing. Can you intuit that I am not eating any of these? If I want to have an extra crunchy thing, what I'll do is I'll take this and cut it in half and have half of that. My breakfast, though, will be this oatmeal, 73 calories, 2 grams of fat, 12 carbs, and 3 grams of protein. Okay? Or 2 handfuls of green stuff. The green stuff itself, say it's broccoli, that's going to be about 62 calories, 1 gram of fat, maybe about 120 carbs, if that, 6 grams of protein. Okay, pretty good choice right there. I might add 2 egg whites. My 2 egg whites would be 34 calories, 0 fat, 0 carbs, 8 grams of protein. Egg whites, super good choice. And then if I substitute it in, say 2 cups of spinach, it's going to bump up the calories just a little bit. Somewhere in the ballpark, that 2 cups will be about 140, about 4 grams of fat, 14 carbs, 4 grams of protein. Here's my breakfast. This is my, also possibly will be a breakfast one of these days, or this might be meal number 2 or 3. My 1/4 cup of nuts, I'll do the calculations at a later time on the nuts. You saw my almond milk. Okay, there you have it. Day 20, meal number 1. And you have a new special license to use the word spec. John Powers, be the change that we want to see in the world. See you in a couple hours.